Grab your tea and take a seat, tennis fans, because the clay season has officially kicked off with an absolute earthquake, and we need to talk about it right now. Welcome back to Courtside Classic, the only place where we serve the tennis tea piping hot and straight to the baseline. I'm your host, Mira, and if you thought the transition from hard courts to the dirt was going to slow down the Philippine powerhouse, you are in for a wild ride today. Let me be the first to tell you, Eala is not just here to participate. She is here to completely take over. If you didn't catch her opening match at the Linz Open, you missed a masterclass in psychological warfare and tactical brilliance. She walked right into the lion's den, faced off against the local darling Grabher, and completely dismantled her in front of a stunned home crowd. So buckle up, because we are diving deep into the match that has the entire WTA locker room whispering and looking ahead to a rematch that is going to blow the roof off the stadium. Let us set the scene for a moment, because the atmosphere was absolutely electric, and honestly, a little intimidating. Grabher was stepping onto the court as the hometown hero, the local favorite that the Austrian fans had packed the stands to see. The crowd was buzzing, heavily invested, and banking on their girl to deliver a magical moment on home soil. We all know how tough it is to play against the crowd. It can make your racket feel like it weighs 50 pounds, but Eala, I swear this girl has ice water flowing through her veins. She had absolutely zero interest in playing the polite, accommodating visitor who wilts under the immense pressure of a partisan crowd. From the second she walked onto that clay court, her body language screamed one thing. She came to win, and she came to make a massive, undeniable statement. In my personal opinion, half the match was won in the locker room. Eala had that look in her eye, a terrifying mix of total calm and absolute killer instinct. She was standing on the dirt for the first time this season, effectively holding a megaphone to the entire WTA tour, announcing that she is dangerous, she is ready, and she is absolutely not going anywhere. What makes Eala so incredibly fascinating to watch, and why I find myself constantly glued to her matches, is that she does not do things by half measures. We see so many players, even top-ranked ones, use the early rounds of a new surface swing to find their feet, or knock off the rust. They ease themselves into the tournament, often dropping sets to lower-ranked players as they adjust to the slide and the bounce. Not Eala, she doesn't need a warm-up act. She arrived in Linz completely switched on, locked in, and operating at a frequency that immediately made Grabher uncomfortable. From the very first point of the match, Eala was crystal clear in her approach. She had a meticulously crafted game plan, and she executed it with the precision of a surgeon. Even when Grabher, feeding off the desperate energy of the home crowd, tried to drag the match into the mud, trying to turn it into a scrappy, emotional dogfight, Eala flat out refused to take the bait. She stayed perfectly on course, commanding the rallies and remaining utterly in control. Let me take you through exactly how this absolute clinic of a match unfolded, because it was a genuine treat for anyone who appreciates high-level tactical tennis. Right out of the gate in the first game, both players made it known that they were ready for war. This was never going to be a quick walkover. Grabher is a seasoned, quality player who knows how to move on clay, and with thousands of fans screaming her name, she wasn't about to roll over. Eala snatched the early lead, grabbing the first 2 points to immediately set an aggressive tone. But to Grabher's immense credit, she dug her heels in, fought back to level the score, and pushed the opening stages to a tense 3-all deadlock. Now right here, at 3 games apiece in the first set, is where we saw the true essence of Eala. This was the pivotal moment. The momentum was slightly teasing a shift toward Grabher. The crowd was getting noticeably louder and more aggressive, and you could feel the tension tightening in the stadium. A younger or less experienced player might have tightened up. Instead, Eala made a conscious, brutal decision to take the match by the scruff of the neck. She leaned into her shots, punched right through Grabher's heavy defensive spin, and made it agonizingly clear to everyone in the building who the superior player was. Every single point was a grueling, hard-fought battle, and every game went down to the absolute wire, but Eala found the answer every single time. She ruthlessly closed out the first set, 6-4. Let me tell you, that was not just a set, that was a declaration of war. It was won through pure grit, ridiculous shot quality, and a level of mental clarity that separates the good players from the absolute legends in the making. If the hometown fans thought Eala would take her foot off the gas in the second set, they were painfully mistaken. The second set followed the exact same script, but this time, Eala brought even more conviction. She came exploding out of the blocks, breaking Grabher and holding serve to string together 3 quick games, instantly putting the Austrian on the ultimate back foot. At 3-0 down, the panic in Grabher's box was palpable. But look, Grabher is a fighter, and with the desperate urging of her fans, she dug deep into her reserves, found an extra gear, and slowly started to claw her way back into the set. For a fleeting, breathless moment, it actually felt like Grabher might force a massive momentum shift and drag this into a deciding third set. But Eala simply looked at the door Grabher was trying to open and slammed it shut, hard. She gave up absolutely no ground. When it mattered most, Eala actually raised her level, pushing even harder and hitting deeper, suffocating Grabher's comeback attempt before it could even fully materialize. She clinically closed out the second set 6-3. This was a dominant, commanding, and utterly convincing straight sets victory. Make no mistake, there was nothing lucky about this win. It wasn't a score line that flattered Eala. It was an accurate reflection of her supreme quality on the clay court. So many analysts, myself included to be completely honest, were watching her very closely to see how she would transition from her grueling hard court season to the slower, heavier conditions of the dirt. Well, consider our questions answered. She has adapted magnificently. There wasn't a single fraction of a second where she looked uncomfortable sliding into her shots. She moved with beautiful fluidity, constructed her points with high IQ intelligence, and handled the heavy, slow-bouncing balls with a natural ease that proves her game translates flawlessly to clay. We are barely into the clay season, and Eala is already looking like the player nobody wants to see in their quarter of the draw. But guys, my favorite part of the entire day didn't even happen while the ball was in play. After securing this ruthless victory, Eala showed exactly why she is becoming one of the most universally loved figures in the sport. During her on-court interview, the fierce competitor dissolved into a remarkably gracious winner. She took a dedicated moment to genuinely, sincerely praise Julia Grabher for the incredible fight she put up. And you could tell these weren't just the hollow, PR-trained cliches we hear from so many athletes. Eala meant it. She recognized Grabher's quality, acknowledged how difficult the match truly was, and wished her well for the rest of the season. Honestly, in an era where tennis drama is at an all-time high, this level of sportsmanship, respect, and deep humility in victory is so incredibly refreshing. It makes her an absolutely stellar ambassador for the sport. And then, she gave us the moment that made the internet and every single Filipino fan in that stadium completely lose their minds. Eala turned directly to her supporters, the incredibly loyal fans who had traveled thousands of miles or gathered in a foreign country just to wave their flags for her, and she thanked them in pure, heartfelt Tagalog. She spoke directly to them, showering them with love and affection, making sure they knew exactly how much their presence fueled her. For Eala, you can tell that her connection to her fans is never a performance. It is deeply authentic. It's one of the most beautiful narratives in tennis right now, and it's why her fan base is growing exponentially every single day. But enough about today, because we need to talk about tomorrow, and I need you all to prepare yourselves emotionally. Tomorrow, the stakes go through the roof. Tomorrow, everything gets bigger, louder, and infinitely more intense, because Alex Eala is stepping onto the court to face none other than Jelena Ostapenko. Yes, you heard me right. And let me tell you, the context of this matchup is juicier than a reality TV finale. We have to rewind the tapes to their previous encounter to truly understand the sheer magnitude of this upcoming clash. The last time these two warriors met, Eala was heavily written off as the underdog. Ostapenko was the established Grand Slam winning heavyweight, playing with blazing confidence, and on paper, it was supposed to be a routine day at the office for the Latvian powerhouse. But as we know, Eala doesn't read the script. What unfolded was one of the most absurdly dramatic, heart-stopping matches I have ever witnessed in my life. In that previous match, Eala found herself buried under a 4-0 deficit in the first set. For love against Ostapenko. She was staring straight down the barrel of a humiliating bagel. 99% of players would have mentally checked out, packed their bags, and started preparing for the second set. But Eala is built different. With a composure that honestly looked terrifying, she orchestrated a comeback that left the entire tennis world speechless. She weathered Ostapenko's blistering baseline bombs, stayed calm under crushing pressure, played the biggest points of the match with absolute ice in her veins, and somehow dragged that set to a tiebreak, which she won 7-6. It was pure magic. And the second set, just as chaotic. Eala flipped the script, building a commanding 4-0 lead of her own, looking completely ready to send Ostapenko packing. But Ostapenko, chaotic and brilliant as ever, fought back with everything she had, leveling the score and injecting pure anxiety into the stadium. This is where the mental chasm between the two players was exposed. While Ostapenko was scrapping, relying on raw aggression and volatile emotion, Eala remained a picture of serene focus. She found a way through the storm, took the second set tiebreak 7-6, and sealed a monumental victory that sent shockwaves through the WTA. And just to prove it wasn't a fluke, Eala went on to defeat Iga Swiatek in the very next round of that tournament. Let that sink in. That is the unbelievable level of tennis we are dealing with here. And that brings us to tomorrow. Ostapenko is out for blood. She wants revenge, and she wants it badly. But look at the staggering form Eala is bringing onto the court. Look at the absolute clinic she just put on against Grabher. She is composed, she is lethal, and she is moving on clay like she was born on it. Ostapenko, on the other hand, is going to have to battle her own demons. She knows Eala has her number. She knows Eala cannot be intimidated by pace or by scoreboard deficits. In my book, the momentum is entirely with Alex. The form, the confidence, the psychological edge, it all belongs to the Filipina star. Tomorrow is her golden opportunity to remind Ostapenko and the entire tennis universe exactly why she is the most dangerous unseeded nightmare in the draw. The clay season is officially here, courtside family. Alex Eala has arrived, and trust me, she is only just getting started. Now, I am dying to hear from you guys. What did you think of Eala's absolute masterclass against Julia Grabher today? Was this the dominant statement when you were predicting, or did her seamless clay court movement surprise you? And more importantly, what is going to happen tomorrow? Do you think Eala has Ostapenko's number and will send her packing once again? Or do you think the Latvian powerhouse will channel her fury and get her revenge on the dirt? Who are you backing in this massive second-round popcorn match? Get down into the comment section right now and drop your boldest predictions, because you know I read and reply to every single one of them. If you love this breakdown and you are as hyped for tomorrow's match as I am, absolutely smash that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update from Courtside Classic. Until next time, keep your serves wide and your returns deep. See you on the courts.